FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is December 5th, 2019. Well, you've probably been following the Hong Kong-China standoff. Hong Kong is fighting literally for its very soul, for its freedoms, and perhaps China is fighting for the survival of the Communist Party. I haven't heard it phrased that way, but there's a good chance. What do you think about the face-off, the standoff that's taking place where these unarmed students are lying down in the road? I think that they will allow themselves to be run over by the tanks or burn themselves or whatever is necessary. Where do you come down on this? Who are you rooting for? Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, Jeff Ferry is with us now from our good friends over at Coalition for a Prosperous America. And Jeff, I mean, this thing has really kicked up another notch, hasn't it?
Yes, it's something, isn't it? I mean, I'm rooting for the forces of democracy, of course, but I hate to think of people getting run over with tanks. But you've got to respect them for standing up for what they believe in.
Hey, and they're putting everything on the line, which is amazing because they're marching with American flags. They've got pictures of Donald Trump on juxtaposed Photoshop on Sylvester Stallone's body from Rocky III. I mean, it would actually be kind of comical if it wasn't so perhaps sad, I guess. Yeah,
I wouldn't call it comical. I would say it's democracy in action. Let's hope they hang tough. And, there's a chance China benefits a lot from Hong Kong as their route to Western trade. So, I think they may see that they've got some vested interest in keeping the appearance of democracy and a little bit of real democracy in Hong Kong. Let's hope that's how it goes.
Yeah, but the people are on to this game, Jeff. They're not willing to put up with that. They've kind of made it all or nothing. They're willing to lay their lives on the line. And hey, don't you find that pretty, I want to say refreshing, but also kind of amazing? Kind of amazing that they're doing this, that, they're more into the concept, the freedom that America brought to the world than anyone else. I mean, they're there with American flags. They got a Statue of Liberty. I mean, they are pushing the Chinese communists really to the end. And that if in fact Xi invades Hong Kong and bloodily puts down the revolution, there's going to be hell to pay here in terms of China's relationship with the rest of the world. I mean, don't you think that the United States and Western Europe and other Western countries probably are going to disengage as a result? I mean, look at, I don't mean to take over the conversation, but only one further point, and that is look at the way that Congress passed 2 resolutions pro-democracy, pro-Chinese, pro-Hong Kong, rather, demonstrators. Not really, they're more symbolic than anything else. And yet that is like sand in China's eyes, right? I mean, they can't abide by this. And as a result, trade talks have broken down and all sorts of other heavy things are happening. We're seeing the price of gold go up now, and a lot of things happening here.
Yep, definitely.
So the question is, do the trade talks hinge on Hong Kong?
Well, I'm an economist. I tend to think the trade talks hinge on what they've always hinged on, which is China willing to compromise on the unfair, illegal, and unethical principles by which they've grown their economy for the last 30 years. And I've been saying for months that I don't think they're going to compromise because that is inherent in the Communist Party's philosophy. So therefore, I don't think the trade talks will make great progress. And I understand that this morning or last night, President Trump said that he's comfortable with no trade deal before the November election, before the 2020 election, which makes sense to me.
Hey, and so he's willing to lay it on the line. Do you think this was his intention the entire time, which is decoupling?
I don't know that it was his intention the entire time. I think his first year in office, there were quite a few Wall Street folks advising him inside the White House. After a year, several of them left. And I think that since 2018, he's become a firmer and firmer believer in tariffs. He's tariff man, and he's seen the tariffs work. The steel and aluminum industries are benefiting from the tariffs, and the people who buy steel and aluminum haven't been hurt in any way at all. Many of them are our members, and they say their businesses are doing great. So I think the president is pretty tough, as a believer. And look, we have to fix the trade deficit. Tariffs work. We have to be tough on China, and so let's stay tough. We don't need a trade deal. The stock market goes up, the stock market goes down. That's not really very important. What's important is the economy moving forward. And the economy is moving forward at a steady 2% growth rate, which in the 10th year of recovery is fine.
Yeah, and it could go higher. Yeah. Are you convinced that the growth rate, the 2% growth rate, is true? Or because I've heard others say that the economy is heading off a precipice.
Oh, I don't think it's heading off a precipice at all. I mean, the latest numbers we're getting tell us that the just beginning Christmas shopping season is very strong. I mean, I think I saw e-commerce sales up 14%, and bricks and mortar sales are up 4%. I guess we're only talking a couple of days, right? Because we got Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and then yesterday was Cyber Monday, and I don't think I've seen numbers for Cyber Monday yet. But no, the consumer is confident. The consumer is spending, and why shouldn't the U.S. consumer be spending? Because employment is up, wage growth starting to move up a little bit. So I think the economy is strong. What's the word? Is robust. It's not, the growth is robust. It's steady. It's not huge growth, but it's robust. It's got legs.
Got legs. And so it's the real deal, huh?
Yeah, it is the real deal. Yeah, we've got a lot of employment. I mean, the economy's not perfect, as we've discussed before. I think the dollar is overvalued, and something should be done about that. Trade deficit's still too large, and it's growing, and something needs to be done about that. So, everything in the garden isn't perfect, but things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah. So really the question is, how much longer can it go on? What do you think?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Trilogy Metals is a world-class developer in Alaska's Ambler mining district. The company already possesses 8 billion pounds of copper, 3 billion pounds of zinc, over 1 million gold-equivalent ounces, and now over 77 million pounds of cobalt. Trilogy's Arctic project boasts an after-tax net present value of $1.4 billion with a 33% IRR. Trilogy is led by an experienced management team with proven success in discovering and developing projects in Alaska. The company is well capitalized, has no debt, and possesses strong institutional support. Trilogy trades on the New York and Toronto exchanges under the ticker symbol TMQ. To learn more, go to trilogymetals.com. That's trilogymetals.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Oh, I think it can go. We can see another couple of years of economic growth ahead of us.
Really?
So, like I said, to 10-year recovery is very unusual, but the story of our modern economy has been that recoveries from recessions have not been as strong as they were back in the last century. So they're slower, longer, but not as strong. So this could continue.
All right. Well, it's interesting, and you might very well be correct. I mean, really, when you think about it, Jeff, Trump has really defied the odds. I think when he was elected, we were getting very close to heading into a recession. And then we had the tax cut. We had regulatory rollbacks, which are ongoing to this day, and all these things, and then just the psychology of wanting to be an entrepreneur again. All of a sudden, it was cool to be an entrepreneur again in America, right?
Yes, I think you're right. I think we did the policies he implemented beginning in 2017 did stimulate the economy. And so we've seen growth in employment, very strong growth in 2018. We saw the biggest increase in manufacturing employment that we've seen in 20 years. That's very significant. So, yeah, I think things are heading in the right direction. It took someone who is not an economist and doesn't have too much respect for economists to tell all the economists that they were wrong. And that's good.
Yeah, well, being an economist means never having to say you're sorry. There's always reasons why the world turned out differently than you said it was. And maybe we put too much faith and too much confidence in the economic talking head class because they're never right. They miss everything. It's a lot like putting our faith in the intelligence community. They're always wrong.
Yep. It's like people used to say about the old medieval emperors. They learn nothing from history. And economists have been preaching free trade for 100 years. And, for the last 40 years, it's been a disaster for the U.S. economy. Imports have caused millions of people to lose their jobs, driven 60 to 80,000 factories out of business, caused lower living standards for a large number of workers. And economists keep saying it's great. And, finally, people are saying, you can't, the emperor has no clothes.
Hey, I guess it was Talleyrand who said they have learned nothing and they have forgotten nothing. And, I guess that's the whole key to being an economist. Well, it's like the weatherman, right? The weatherman really doesn't know if it's going to rain or not rain tomorrow. He can only deal in probabilities based on his limited current knowledge of the weather, what causes it, the situation at hand. He can look at radar, he can look at all sorts of things. But if for some reason there's going to be a thunderstorm that just comes out of nowhere, he's going to miss it most of the time. And really, your modern economist is no better equipped to forecast the economy than your modern meteorologist is equipped to affect or to predict the weather. But one thing, the meteorologists have got the satellite, so they can see if there's a hurricane forming. But in the end, they never know where that hurricane's going to hit. And the economist never knows where and when the financial tsunami is going to hit.
Well, you're right about that, but I would say that I've seen weathermen admit that they've been wrong. They said, well, I said it was going to be sunny and it actually rained yesterday. So, that was a thunderstorm. I missed that. Whereas economists never admit they're wrong because they're in the business of defending these theoretical models. So if things turn out terrible, despite what they said they come up with reasons why their model is still valid, but there are some exceptions or whatever. But, and I think that's a problem. They never admit they were wrong, and there are plenty of examples in the trade world like that, where, they said NAFTA was going to boost jobs in the U.S. Well, it cost 1 million jobs. Mm-hmm. So now they don't talk about jobs. Now they say, well, we always said that NAFTA was going to boost trade, and they rewrite history. Yeah. And in reality, we don't care about the level of trade. I mean, we hire our government as voters to deliver a better economy for the U.S. And I don't care whether they, trade with Mexico or Timbuktu. I want to see more prosperity in the U.S. And NAFTA definitely did not deliver that.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I don't mean to be totally disparaging of economists, because I know you are one, but let's face it, there's only so much information available. And oftentimes the information that you really need to make the right forecast just doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I am an economist, so I'm entitled to criticize my own profession, if you like. And I do that a lot. And you're right. You're hitting on a more fundamental point, which is that economists try to make economics seem like a science. and it's a science because human beings are not like iron atoms. I mean, a magnet's going to do the same thing every single time because iron atoms always behave a certain way. But human beings, there are times when there are panics, there are times when there's irrational exuberance, and it's impossible to predict those states of mind. And, then there's times when a Communist Party government in China will make a decision to do something which is completely unpredictable. I mean, nobody could have predicted 30 years ago that they were going to decide to dominate the world steel market. But they made that decision, and now we all just have to respond to it.
Yeah, exactly. And no one, 30 years ago, no one was seeing as China becoming a world leader and living standards going up and expanding and becoming the world power. Nobody foresaw that. 20 years ago, I will say, to me, it became very obvious that it was going to happen. But 30 years ago, nobody would have ever predicted it. Certainly 40 or 50, nobody. Only Napoleon, who said that China was a sleeping giant, and when she woke, the world would tremble. And he seemed, I don't know if that's wrongly attributed to him or not, but that's beyond the realm of, right? It's beyond the realm of economic forecasting.
Right.
So, all right. Well, hey, just tell us again, where do we go to find out more about your organization? And
Sure.
Yeah.
So we are the Coalition for a Prosperous America. We are a bipartisan organization of U.S. manufacturers, labor unions, and agricultural groups focused on rebuilding the U.S. economy, bringing prosperity to manufacturing and agriculture, and restoring American economic growth. Our website is prosperousamerica.org. And you can go there and read the articles I write and the articles my colleagues write, and join us and support us in our campaigns and causes.
All right. Hey, we got a link to it in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Tell us your thoughts on the trade dispute, where you think it's heading, how it will be resolved. The email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. Twitter feed @Kerry Lutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Visit our website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Jeff, always great speaking with you. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Sure, Kerry. Thanks a lot for having me. Take care.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.